What's going on, guys? Sean Don here today. I'm going to teach you guys how to get sponsored and become like a social media influencer. So this is a video like I never really thought about making. That was until this summer, or I should say this fall really, when I had a few people reach out to me kind of asking how to get sponsorships with the new NCAA name, image, and likeness rules. Now that you NCAA students are able to make some money off your name, image, and likeness, figured this might be of use to you guys, and also very useful for probably a lot of other professional post-collegiate track and field athletes out there. Frankly, I talked to a lot of people and it seems like they all want sponsorships of some kind, but they don't really understand how the game works. So here I am to tell you how the game has worked for me, at least. This is just really my experience when it comes to finding sponsorships and getting sponsored and earning a living outside of just track and field income, I suppose. So yeah, what led me down sort of the social media influencer path? That's a pretty quick story. 2017, first year post-collegiate, I'm broke as hell. Like broke. Living in a house with like 7 or 8 other dudes. My bedroom, 9x7, that's right, 63 square feet. I could almost touch end to end. I had no money and I had a lot of bills to pay, so I started reaching out to people trying to find sponsors. Fortunately enough, I found Ironwood Throws Club. It was ran by Jared Rome back in the day, RIP to a very good human being. He helped me a lot and showed me a lot of things of kind of what it takes to succeed in professional track and field, and I'm very grateful for him. I miss him, I'm not gonna lie. So I had a call with Jared when I first signed on with Ironwood Throws Club, trying to figure out how to navigate the professional track and field world. Pretty much he told me to use social media to my advantage. He told me that if I could garner enough followers that I would be able to find sponsorships easier. So I kind of took that to heart. I started being way more active on Instagram and started making YouTube videos and kind of learning along the way. It didn't quite work out the way he described it. Like, as I gained more followers, it didn't help me gain the sponsorships that I necessarily wanted. You know, I wanted to get like that big time shoe contract, and unfortunately that's not how that game works. That's beside the point, because it still kind of worked out in my favor. I found other different types of sponsorships. I've been able to kind of, like I said, leverage my following to help me make a living, kind of independent from just my track and field income, which is cool. So, moving on. So I think the best place to start when it comes to finding sponsorships is to sort of understand the nature of sponsorships, or relational aspect, I suppose, of sponsorships. So from the perspective of the athlete, you know, of all of you watching this video, I imagine you view sponsorships as a way to sort of get free stuff or make some extra money, which is dope. And like, I agree, who doesn't love free stuff and money? That's kind of why I started doing it in the first place. So you reach out to some brands and say, hey, like, I love your product. Do you want to sponsor me? However you would word that, I guess it's up to you. And then you toss them some of your credentials. You say, hey, I'm an Olympian. Hey, I'm an NCAA champion, blah, blah, in hopes of sort of landing a deal. And then chances are they're going to hit you back with a big fat no, if they even reply at all. So the flip side of that, we need to examine the perspective of the company. Why would a company want to sponsor an athlete? And in my opinion, when it comes down to it, from the company's point of view, sponsorships are really just another form of marketing, and a relatively cheap one at that, which works really well for like lesser known brands or smaller companies who like can't afford to buy and produce an entire TV commercial, or perhaps fund a giant billboard in Times Square or something. So basically, when a company sponsors you, they want to leverage you and your brand and your following to help advertise their products. That's how I view it. It's kind of a little menacing, you know, a little simple perhaps, but like it's a business interaction. That's all it is at the very core of it. A good sponsorship should be mutually beneficial. As a sponsored athlete, you're essentially a walking, talking advertisement. And if you do a good job building and understanding like your brand, finding sponsorships that are mutually beneficial like this really aren't too hard at all. It just takes a little bit of ingenuity and work. And the next step is to build your brand. So like starting from square one, you want to get sponsored. What is step one? To define your brand, I'm basically asking you, who are you on social media? What's your social media persona? Some questions that kind of go along with that is like, what's your story? Like, what are your values? What do you stand for? You know, I didn't go to school for marketing. I didn't go to school for business. This is just the way that I've learned it and the way that I understand it and the way that has worked for me. And I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but when it comes to track and field athletes, I think I've made it work relatively well. So, for example, my brand, my name is Sean Donnelly, aka Sean Don. On Instagram, I'm known as SD Throws. I'm a professional hammer thrower for Team USA. Constantly posting training videos and lifting videos on Instagram, and then here on the YouTubes, I post longer form content, trying to educate and sort of inspire and entertain you guys as best as I can, because I want to help out the throwing community, and I want to help out, the future generations of throwers. And I think that like a big part of my brand is authenticity and vulnerability. I kind of like to show the highs and the lows because I kind of want to humanize the process and help you guys realize that greatness isn't gifted per se, but it's rather earned through like hard work and grit and perseverance, among other things. So like that's kind of my brand, quick elevator pitch sort of thing. It's really just about knowing who you are and what you're about, and then kind of communicating that in like each and every post that you make. Also, like figuring out your brand is really easy once you realize that like you don't need to be anyone but yourself. So like, yeah, it's gonna take some time to like figure out like who you are and be able to put words to it. But once you do it, I think it's pretty easy to live that out and live up to that if you're comfortable being yourself. Through the process of being a social media influencer, it's helped me kind of figure out who I am as a human being. And like, I know I'm not like the coolest or like smoothest or like funniest guy out there. I'm pretty weird, honestly, but I'm myself whenever I make these videos, whenever I post online, whenever I interact with you guys, respond to comments and DMs and stuff like that. Like, I'm myself, plain and simple. And for some reason, people seem to appreciate that. So building off of that, oh yeah, nice and cold. So maybe a little sip of the covfefe. So another way to build and develop your brand is to figure out your niche. What are the topics that you talk about? Like, what does your audience know you for specifically? So like for me, very clearly defined, it's throwing, and you could say even more specifically, hammer throwing. For you, maybe it's javelin, maybe it's high jump, maybe it's distance running, maybe it's something outside of sports in general, maybe it's like baking or like old tool restoration. There's literally an infinite amount of niches. What are you passionate about? What are you good at? What do you want to be good at? Find a general area and kind of scale down from there, and you can really find kind of close-knit niche if you try hard enough. Even smaller niche makes me even closer to the people that I'm creating content for. I understand them better, I think, than if I were to try to make content for track and field as a whole. I think it's pretty clear, but most brands don't want to just sponsor you because they love you as a person. I feel like some people, just because they're a good athlete, they feel entitled to sponsorships, which is a weird thing. Because like I said before, it's kind of a business interaction. The sponsorships shouldn't be charity work for the company. Once again, they're kind of looking to leverage you and your brand and your followers to grow their brand and market to new people and get new customers and sell more products. So they're going to want to sponsor somebody who has a relatively big and sort of unique audience, because more followers equals more opportunity for somebody to buy their product. That's all it comes down to. That being said, like, there's no specific number of followers that you have to get a sponsorship. I think when I started getting my first sponsorships, it was about when I had around 3,000 followers on Instagram, and like at that time I just started making YouTube videos more consistently. And what's cool about that is like brands may even kind of favor smaller pages. It might be better to have like, let's say 15,000 organic followers who really love your content and your message and what you have to say, versus 100,000 followers who just followed you because they saw some viral video of you that they found on their Discover page. You can have a small number of followers, but I think to start getting serious offers with sponsorships, I think the kind of sweet spot is around, like 3,000 to 5,000. Once you get up around 10,000 to 15,000 on Instagram, it's much easier to find brands that might want to work with you. So another big part of developing a brand is engaging with your followers. Do you reply to comments? Do you reply to DMs? These sort of interactions, I think, create a sort of trust and like relationship between you and your followers. And this like tighter knit sort of bond increases kind of post engagement that brands would want to see if they're interested in partnering with you. So kind of the last part that I'll speak about when it comes to developing your brand is consistency. You also need to be consistent with posting. Imagine how it'd look if you reached out to a brand like requesting sponsorship, and then they take a look at your Instagram and you've only posted like 3 times over the past 6 months, that's not going to demonstrate to them that they're going to get a good return on investment. So consistent posting with consistent messages within your consistent brand, I think is a great way to sort of continue to establish that relationship with your followers and also show companies that like you mean business. Next step, post consistently, you're engaging with followers, you've built a respectable following. When will the brand deals start rolling in? And in reality, they won't. They probably won't. In my experience, you have to be proactive about finding sponsorships and brand deals as a smaller sort of content creator, social media influencer, if you want to call yourself that. In my opinion, the key to finding sponsorships is to find brands that kind of fit your values or your brand. In my opinion, the best sponsorships you can find are with brands and products that you already believe in. Like look at the items that you use every day that you would use even if you weren't getting paid, or perhaps you would even pay to use. So like these Yeti things that I'm drinking from. I love the Yeti brand. I would love to be sponsored by Yeti. That level of conviction in a product, like that level of belief in a product, is key for a sincere, successful sponsorship, in my opinion. A great example of this for me right now is my sponsorship with Renaissance Periodization and their RP Diet app. I began using it like nearly 2 years ago, I think, after a recommendation from my strength coach at the time. I paid to use it for a few months and I absolutely loved it. The app was incredibly straightforward. I appreciated how it kind of took the guesswork out of nutrition for me. And the results I got were incredible, both with my improvement in physique and then also the improvement in my recovery and like performance. So I reached out to them, I told them my story, and it seemed like a snug fit, and we struck a deal. And like to this day, I still love their product, and it fit my brand, as it's something that I could use to help optimize my performance, and I thought it would greatly benefit my followers as well. I wanted to get the word out to them. I wanted to tell them about it even if I wasn't getting paid for sponsorship. It took me a while to learn this personally, pretty much because, like I said earlier, like getting free stuff is dope. But there were a few different times when I like agreed to sponsorship without really having any prior knowledge of a product. Then I received the product and I realized like it kind of sucks and I don't have a place for it in my life really, and I don't enjoy using it. And then like it sucks because then I still have to make a post about it and act like I enjoy it, and that feels insincere, and that kind of goes against my own morals. Once again, just understand your brand, understand your audience, and try to find brands to work with that align with those two things. If you only have a couple thousand followers, good luck trying to get big brands like Apple or BMW to sponsor you. Or in my case, like I said, I love Yeti stuff, but I don't think I'm a big enough creator to earn a Yeti sponsorship yet, seeing as they're such a large brand. But who knows, maybe I should reach out, shoot them an email or something. Okay, so step 3, reaching out to brands. You know your brand. You know what sort of brands you want to work with. Contact them. Be resourceful. Start on their website. Try to find contact info. From what I've seen, some companies might have like existing affiliate programs, and if you look hard enough, you might be able to find a link like down in their footer for an application or contact form somewhere. Check out their social media pages. If it's a product that you already use, try tagging the company in your posts to get their attention and demonstrate that you're already a believer in their product. But shoot your shot. Send them a DM. Like I said, the big thing here is trying to be resourceful, because like contact information isn't just like sitting out around there on the internet. You have to search for it. You have to find kind of the right route to get an in to talk to somebody at the company. I think that goes a long way. Think outside the box, get resourceful, MacGyver some shit. When you reach out to a brand, remember, like, you need to operate from a position of what will you bring to the table. It's sort of like a job interview. You wouldn't go into a job interview and just talk about how great you are and how much this job is going to benefit your life and how much money you're going to make from this new job. It would better serve you in that job interview to tell the company what you can offer them, what skills you have that make you unique, that can help them grow. That being said, you send a message to a company, tell them your story, tell them who you are, tell them what your brand is. Tell them how you use their product, perhaps. Tell them how their product is a perfect fit for your demographic, or perhaps how you would even market your product with a specific post or a specific video or a specific giveaway. Specificity really helps here for sure. And this is also kind of where being data-driven can really help. There's like the obvious data stuff, like demographic stuff that most social media apps kind of generate for you. Like if you go look in your settings and stuff, or if you have a business profile, I think on like Instagram or Twitter or something like that, or TikTok, you can see like age range and gender and location, and then you can also see likes and views and reach and interactions and all these different things that provides data that you can use to leverage and get a sponsorship. Like I said, it's numbers that you can use to prove like, hey, I'm growing, I'm getting good post interactions, I'm getting good engagement, I have good reach. Here are my numbers, sponsor me. And then also like on a deeper level, if you're engaging with your fans and you're learning their interest and perhaps even their needs and wants, if you talk to them enough, it can make it really easy to find brands to advertise to them. Basically, when you're reaching out to a brand, you just need to sort of have a solid value proposition and like shoot over the message. Even if you have like a rock solid value proposition, does that mean you're guaranteed a sponsorship? No, in fact, it can be tough. And you're probably gonna get a lot more no's than you're gonna get yeses. So just keep that in mind. You got to be persistent. Yeah, so making a deal. To be fair, most brands that I've worked with are pretty straightforward about their terms. For example, like you will receive like X benefit in exchange for Y service. There's a lot of different possibilities here. From what I've experienced, a list of potential sponsorship sort of benefits include, but is not limited to, discounted product, free product, commission from promo code use, which is typically like 10 to 20% depending on who you're working with. One-time stipend for like a sponsored post, or like a monthly, yearly, quarterly sort of stipend deal, which is dope if you ask me. Or sometimes there's like other benefits like travel reimbursements, which is a little bit more pertinent to like track and field athletes when we're traveling to meets and incurring a lot of expenses that way. So that's just kind of what I've seen in my experiences over my years of trying to get sponsorships and stuff. As for services provided, I think it's pretty simple. It's usually going to be, like a one-off or recurring sort of like sponsored post on behalf of the company on your social media. So it's kind of an exchange, like I said, of goods and services here. When it comes down to it, I think you just need to know your worth and like don't be afraid to negotiate. Ultimately, you get to set your rates, even though, like I said, most brands are pretty straightforward about what they want and what they're willing to give you. You get to dictate the terms to an extent. That being said, if you're new to the game and like you have a small following, there won't be much room for negotiation, unfortunately. Like you might have to settle for like the bare minimum, which might be like free product, or if it's a very expensive product, a discounted product, until you can continue to grow and demonstrate that you can provide a good return on investment. Keep in mind the size of a company when negotiating these things as well. Expecting a small company to pay you a yearly stipend for throwing a metal ball far is kind of crazy. Track and field doesn't really get that much exposure, so it's hard to get a really good return on investment in a sport like we are in. So yeah, build your brand, understand who you are and what you're about, find brands that align with your brand, reach out to them, negotiate a deal, and you're done. Boom, sign the paperwork, and you got yourself a little sponsorship. That's it. That's a rough framework for becoming a social media influencer and getting some sponsorships. So I guess, I don't know if this is pretty simple or what. I don't know, comment down below if you guys have any questions. Obviously, I'm happy to help you guys out because I want to pass on the savings to you guys. I had to learn all this stuff kind of the hard way. And so I really hope this helps you guys, make your dream become a reality. And then lastly, it's not a show and done video without at least a little nugget of wisdom. So I'm here to say, don't do this stuff just for the money or just for the free product or just for the clout. That's kind of insincere. If you spent the time to build up a following, I think there's some sort of responsibility that sort of comes with that. People look up to you and they kind of trust you and what you have to say. So I think you kind of have an obligation to be like a good role model, help make the world a better place and act with integrity and honesty. Also, I think it's important to know your why. I make all of these videos and I post all the stuff that I do on social media because I love helping all of you guys out. I love educating and inspiring and helping build up the throwing community. So if you know your why and you want to get into these sponsorships and sort of brand deal things, you'll probably enjoy it a hell of a lot more if you know deep down really why you're doing it. That's kind of the last nugget of wisdom for the video. So that's all I got. Hopefully this helps. Like I said, drop a comment down below. Be sure to subscribe and like the video and give it a share too, because I know lots of people out there want to know what they can do to get sponsorships. So I appreciate you for watching. Until next time, Sean Don, peace out.